The Obama administration was the biggest grift and the biggest heist ever that I ever lived through. And it was all done under, he was the first black president. And his very spectacular, my fellow Americans. I'm not a fan of Obama administration, even though I did vote for him. At that time, I was super uninformed about anything dealing with politics. I was super uninformed about anything dealing with governments. However, when I realized that administration was such a grift, I went and I started to do research for myself and I went another way. I realized that I was a person that had conservative views and I really had different perspectives on a lot of things. And because of this whole grift of Obama, it taught me not to do that again when it comes to government or politics. This is probably going to be a two-part thing of the reason why and another thing is one of the reasons why I'm very much more vocal when it comes to politics now. I had these views and I had these talks behind the scene, but I'm publicly coming out with them because y'all don't like to read or go research. I'm not saying be an expert, my goodness, but be a research. One of the grifts that he sold was this whole Affordable Care Act. Now, if you come from that industry, because I did, I knew it was trash. As a matter of fact, I didn't. The only people that's winning out of the Affordable Care Act is the insurance company and the insurance companies that are getting paid by the government to manage them. They're not necessarily managing. The most that they do is majority of the claims they deny. Hence why healthcare has forever changed ever since the Affordable Care Act. And to be quite frank, you're better off getting private PPO insurance. And if you cannot afford private PPO insurance, then go get a healthcare savings account. And you can actually negotiate self-pay rates, which will actually they end up being way cheaper than even getting the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act, especially some of those plans where they get kickback or they're subsidized, they're not accepted everywhere. So you're back to the same situation of people getting massive amount of healthcare bill and people not having access to proper healthcare. The other things that I researched that I realized that he was the clear case of identity politics, but the reason why his administration to me was the biggest heist ever done in my lifetime was the micro wars that he instigated and he started under his administration. Seven of them to be exact. Then it was the fact that he made these tech companies oligarchs. He signed, I forgot which act or bill that he signed, and he basically made them the richest companies ever in exchange for information from my fellow American citizens. Then, if they didn't even add more spruce to the fire, he allowed the legalization of marriage between man and man and woman. As if, why they didn't do that with all the other presidents? Why they had to do it underneath him? Then it's the fact that he was head capitan in immigration. Until this day, nobody will address how was his administration able to get away with being head capitan of immigration and deportation. So the fact that he gets on this podcast and basically try to say that, there's a rise of authoritarian, sir, you're talking about yourself. We're not saying that, hey, that is not true. There does seem a rise of stuff. However, sir, I will never take anything from your mouth because you were the epitome of that. And you did it based off of the first black president. I'll leave you with this. I'll tell you guys what I told my personal family and my personal friends years ago. That rambunctious spirit or that run, like what that the smoke that you see coming out of Trump, that's what we was expecting out of Obama, but we never got. Instead, what we got is what many of us see in our everyday lives. They smile, they lie, but they always want your demise.